What's up, guys? So today we're going to be doing some work on the Jeeps. We got my LJ here, and then we also have Nik's LJ here. So Nik already has some upgraded heavy-duty steering, like tie rods and drag links and everything, but he wants to go to a high steer setup. So we're going to be installing a high steer steering configuration on his Jeep, and we're gonna take all this heavy duty stuff from his and throw it on mine, because mine is still utilizing all the stock stuff, which if you know anything about the Jeep steering stock components, they're weak, they like to break, they bend all the time, they're just terrible. So that's what we're gonna do. We've got them both jacked up right now on jack stands. We're gonna rip the tires off of them, pull all the steering off, and then we're actually gonna be swapping knuckles too, because he had to modify his stock knuckles to fit with this steering setup, but he needs stock knuckles again for his high steer setup. So we're going to rob my knuckles, put them on his Jeep so he can utilize them for the high steer. His knuckles will transfer over with all his existing steering to my LJ. So just a bunch of swapping back and forth. Let's see if we can get it done.
So the theory to applying heat is obviously heat makes things expand. So if we can make that pitman arm expand from the shaft, it should pop off. It's a little tricky sometimes because you don't want to apply like heat to the shaft and have it expand at the same rate. So it usually works pretty good, but I don't know. The pitman arms suck. At this point, I don't know. I'm almost just tempted just to cut it.
All right, so it is the next day. We showed you yesterday, we tore into the Jeeps. We put all new steering components on Nik's Jeep, and we took what he had, which is already updated steering, and put it on my Jeep. We were here till, what, 8 o'clock last night, almost?
Yeah.
7 o'clock?
Yeah, so a 4-hour project turned into a 8 or 10-hour project?
Yeah, you know, just like always, you think something's gonna take just a couple hours, and it takes all freaking day. So there was a lot more to it than we thought. We had to do a bit of drilling for, you know, bigger bolts on that high steer kit, in the knuckles, in the pitman arm, getting the pitman arm off. You've already seen how we fought that. I hate doing that. I hate pitman arms, they're terrible. But we got the Jeeps back together. We did an alignment on them. Both of our Jeep steering wheels are still not straight, so we gotta align them better, but we can do that later on. We're gonna go try this out. We're gonna go try both Jeeps out. Nik's Jeep is outside. We're gonna see how that high steer does. I'm gonna see how much better this feels. I drove it home yesterday and back out here. I live like 25 minutes away, and I like it so far. So we'll see, you know, you live close enough. I don't know if you got a good feel for it, but. Well, remember how earlier we were just talking about how we always got to fix these things every time? Well, we're gonna have to fix a axle seal on Nik's Jeep here. So yesterday we had to pull these knuckles off, which meant we had to pull the axle out, and looks like it decided to start leaking. So we got diff fluid leaking out of the front axle there, dang it. We'll have to do a new axle seal.
I just got the diff cover off. Next step's gonna be to lift the front of the Jeep up. We're gonna take the wheels off, pop the axles out, and then we're gonna undo these bolts right here and here. And what that's gonna allow us to do is just pull this whole piece out and then access the seals, which are inside of here on both sides. project last night took a little bit longer than I was thinking, but we're back out in Sand Hollow. We're gonna test out this steering, but before we do that, let's hear what Colton had to say about his steering.
I'm really happy with it. Obviously, my Jeep had completely stock steering, and you could feel how much flex it had as I was like bumping up rocks, like the actual tie rods and the drag link and everything. You could feel that flex because they're just super weak. So the kit that I have now is what Nick had on his Jeep, and we put it on mine. It is the Rough Country Heavy Duty tie rod kit, I think is what they call it. We did put a 4-inch drop pitman arm on it, which I know Rough Country says not to do that, but it ended up working on mine. It works just fine. I had to trim the tube just a little bit to make sure that it would go short enough to make my steering wheel straight. My Jeep does have a 4-inch lift on it, so that ended up working. But so far, I really like it. I did go get an alignment done on it just today, and it drives great down the road, and I really like how stiff it feels and how solid it feels off-road as well. So definitely a good upgrade. I think Nick's setup is really sick. It looks really good. I'm really curious to see how it does once we start progressing a little bit further and maybe get some bigger tires as well.
So we just got done with the testing. My initial thoughts are, I do like the steering. I felt like I had a little bit more control of the steering wheel and the Jeep, if that makes sense. There wasn't as much like slop in the wheel. We did hit some small bumps and, you know, little rocks going over them. It didn't feel like the Jeep was getting thrown around as much, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's due to the different geometry of the steering setup. Let me show you how this works real quick. So this is a high steer kit. Basically what it does is it mounts over the knuckle here. The stock setup is, I think it's called a Y linkage. Basically your bar comes down, it attaches to the tie rod right here, and then your steering action takes place from there. So yeah, let me know what setup you guys have and if you think this is the right way to go or not. We're kind of just building these things up and learning as we go, so I'd love to hear what you have to think. Anyways, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.